Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Into the Wood update for Grounded, going for the Sticky Hands achievement. This is to plug the Haze Canister. The main thing you are going to need is going to be some gum, and this is going to require you to get a black ant shovel. So to get the black ant shovel, you're going to first need to find a black ant, which is going to require you to head to the picnic table. So you're going to have to don your gas mask and then cross the haze into the new western part of the map that was introduced in the Hot and Hazy update. Make your way to the top of the picnic table and you will find the field station up here. Recommend setting up camp here, and then once you are all settled in, you will notice that the top of the picnic table is going to be a prime location in order to find the black worker ant. We are going to need to grab two very specific things from the black worker ant. You are going to need a few black ant heads as well as black ant parts, which are going to be their drops. Thankfully, the top of the picnic table is going to be the best place to deal with them, simply because there's not going to be too many ants, and they are not going to aggro on you until you attack them. So once you are ready to start looting, just make sure you bust out your favorite weapon and start swinging, and just make sure you look for a handful of each of the two components that they can drop. So just make sure you keep smacking away, and then make sure you grab the parts. Once you have a handful of each, it's time to bring these back to the field station. We're going to have to scan the head in order to get the recipe for the black ant shovel. So thankfully there's going to be a field station up here as well, so we don't have to walk too far. Make sure you scan the head in order to get the recipe, and then once you have the recipe, you're going to notice there's going to be one more component that you need, which is going to be the black ant mandibles. Unfortunately, black worker ants are not going to be able to drop the mandibles, so we're going to have to find a black soldier ant in order to defeat and loot it for its mandibles. In this current build of the game, the black soldier ant can be found in three specific locations. You can find them either at the Black Ant Hill over by the trash heap, or if you go to the northern part of the garden, you can also find it on the shed porch. So we're going to go with the first most option, which is going to be to find it at the Black Ant Hill, simply because there are going to be less of them and it's easier to deal with. So make sure you zipline over to the sandbox and then make your way over to the sandbox field station. Make sure you go over to the blue Lego brick when it's going to be late in the day, so you don't have to deal with the sand's sizzling effect. And then once it's safe to do so, make sure you head into the Black Ant Hill and then make your way over to the entrance of the Black Ant Hill lab, and then in front of the lab you should find two black soldier ants. So there's only going to be two of them, so it shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. However, if you are using your weapons from the base game, it might be a little difficult your first time here, so be a little patient with this one. If anything, you can always stick to the strategy where you stay far back and pick them apart using your bow and arrow, but if you're feeling more reckless, make sure you go in and start swinging. Hopefully, you should be able to defeat at least one and then loot it for its mandibles. Keep in mind the mandibles are going to be a rare drop, so you may not get it your first time here. If you don't get too lucky, you can always come back at a later time, and then hopefully they should respawn, and you can keep killing them until they do drop the mandibles. And if not, you can always check the other locations for the other black soldier ants. But keep in mind, there are going to be more soldier ants in those locations, so they may present a challenge if you are just starting out. Nonetheless, once you have the three components, which are all three of the black ant pieces, so the head, the mandibles, and the parts, you are going to want to take these back to a crafting table, and you should be able to craft the black ant shovel from these. So the shovel recipe is going to call for 3 black ant parts, 2 black ant mandibles, and 1 black ant head. Once you have those, make sure you combine them into the black ant shovel, which is going to be a tier 2 shovel. Now that we have our shovel, you are going to need to find the actual gum resource location, and the best place is going to be back at the picnic table. So from the top where the field station is, which you want to do is want to make sure you turn your attention over here to the right. You're going to find the open cooler right over here. Make sure you drop down onto the rim of the cooler, and then what you want to do is want to make sure you turn around, and you're going to notice if you climb it to the tip of this spork, you're going to find a wad of gum right here, and you should be able to mine this using a tier 2 shovel, which the black ant shovel will suffice. So make sure you equip that, and then it's time to get mining. It's a little out of reach, but you can do a little trick where you hit the right trigger first and then jump to initiate the swing as you are jumping. So make sure you get that little timing quirk off. You can't mine it just standing on the tip of the spork. You have to make sure you initiate the action and then jump in order to mine it. So just keep jumping and keep swinging until it breaks, and then it should fall down. Unfortunately, it's going to fall down into the garden on the floor, so you're going to have to climb it back down from the picnic table. So make sure you take a spill right here. Be careful of fall damage, obviously. And then once you are back onto the bench, you are going to want to take the shovel all the way back down and then head underneath the picnic table. Then you're going to have to do some fumbling around in order to find where the wad of gum dropped, but once you notice it, you are able to pick it up. It should be pretty easy to notice though, because it is going to be purple, so that should stand out among the green and brown background, but be a little patient with this one. If you don't want to deal with the picnic table in order to get your gum resource, there are going to be a few other spots you can try to find wads of gum at. For example, there are going to be some spots in the northern part of the garden that you can mine gum from. However, keep in mind you are going to have to be a little adventurous to go up there without upgrading your gear first. There are also going to be wads of gum next to the actual canister that we are about to plug, so you can look for them there as well. You are only going to need one piece, thankfully, so make sure you find one and then add it to your inventory. If you want to skip the whole process of crafting a tier 2 shovel, you can actually find gum in the chest over at the Black Ant Hill lab. So if you happen to loot some gum from these chests, you should be able to use these as well, and you could skip the whole mining process that way. So once you are ready to plug the canister, you're going to need only two specific things. You need a gas mask in order to pass through the haze successfully, and you're going to need one gum nugget. Once you have those, it's time to head over to the canister. I recommend heading right over here as your starting point. It's going to be in the middle of the haze. You're going to find these rocks right here that you can climb up on. Make sure you do so. You can see the canister in the background. This is going to be against the back porch of the house. Once you are on the rocks, you can take these branches to get higher up onto the porch. Also on the underneath of the porch, you can find more wads of gum. So if you happen to be missing the gum still, you can grab it from here as well. Once you get to this part of the porch, you can climb the nozzle of the canister and then take this all the way to the top. Thankfully, there's not going to be any enemies to deal with once you get to the actual porch. So just make your way up the wand, and then once you get to the top of the canister, you're going to notice the crack where the canister is leaking out the haze. You can plug it up just using one piece of gum, and then once it's plugged up, you should get a cutscene, and that should get you the achievement. Also, word of warning, as soon as you plug the canister, it's going to clear the haze, which should make traversing a lot easier. However, it is going to increase the number of infected creatures out there, so be mindful of that. But once you do so, you should be good for your achievement. 50 gamer score for this one, and that's all there is to it.